God.
Yeah, we are.
All right, should we go?
Yep.
Should you do it? Are we on?
We go.
Oh,
we
shit.
we are on, mate. We are on.
Everybody out there in the world, it's back finally. The Rooms and Miz Arsenal podcast. We're back, baby. I'm
New
Room.
year, new podcast, and I'm Miz.
And we come at you when you need us the most to tell you the truth about Arsenal Football Club. And the truth right now, from the last time we spoke, is wonderful, baby. But it's not all roses. There's been a few setbacks as of late. But in general, considering last year, the horror show that we went through last year, it's been almost nothing but positive this year. Where do you think we're at right now?
I mean, we're top of the league.
Top of the
there has been some hiccups for sure, but I think that's inevitable when you're still rebuilding. I think comparatively when we chatted last time, which I don't remember the last time fully, but you know it's been a bit. It's not this season currently at all, and they've been a force to be reckoned with. Like that, I was there this year. I feel. I mean, I've been to the Emirates before. The vibe is definitely different there too. It was like electric. You can tell that our fan base is really engaged, even watching on TV. The team seems to be they recover well. The other day I woke up and watched that game live at 4:30, and dude, that was nervy. I mean, 2-1 losing to Villa, and they're like we were playing not great, and they just seem to be able to figure it out a little bit now. They all understand their role a lot better, I think, is the main thing.
And I think also too, there's that sense of if they're losing, every player has that sense that good teams have, where it's like, we can't go out like this. We have to keep trying. If we fail, we fail. But I'm gonna go attack more. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna try to find that little pass to open things up and get a goal and get back in the game, because we can't lose. If we lose, then we're not top of the table anymore. And then
this week is particularly important. Like tomorrow, we have a big game against Leicester. We know that they can show up against big teams. I mean, they beat Tottenham 4-0 recently, and then we got Everton again, who we lost to recently on Wednesday. That's essentially our game at hand. Like these two games, we need to put as much distance between us and City as possible. Like that podcast you sent the other day with Ian Wright talking, and they had a 13-point deficit and they made it up from this point. It's doable. Like it only takes a run of 3 games to really just kind of shit the bed and be out of the situation. And then what we have, we need Gabriel Jesus back ASAP. The signs look positive. What they said today is he's close, but he's probably end of March, right? Maybe not. He's kind of a freak. He could be back sooner. But how traditionally how we do it, it's always he's ready, and then they give him an extra 2 weeks to kind of get up to speed.
You don't want to rush him. You don't. The Thomas Partey was the one player that we put back when you would want him to go back, and then he just kept getting re-injured again, to where this is really his first good season.
Yeah, he's bald. He's bald too.
Totally. And we knew this. This. It's weird because I feel like the 2020 team is finally playing regularly, and doing well. And yes, they're 2 years older. But I remember last year thinking, why isn't Martinelli playing, man? It's hard to imagine that Martinelli didn't play for the first half of the season. And then when he came back, he didn't really play, And
I'm with you. I was with you. I didn't really trust Arteta. I'd say that I do believe in him now, because it'd be hard not to. Sure, there's still some shit that comes up sometimes. I think he's could calm down on the touchline. I think he could control his emotions a little bit better. But like one thing that you got to think about is he's kind of moneyballed the shit out of it in general with like they're not spending crazy money on players. They're finding the right players personality wise too that are going to fit into like what they think and feel. And like I think that's why Trossard was an easy one because you know Ben White knew him pretty well from Brighton. They're probably like, hey, like how's that dude mind wise? Like, because he wants to know that. I think that that's where Aubameyang fell out because he just didn't want to buy into the thing. His ego kind of got in the way probably, and
Yeah.
he's like, I mean, you can watch it in the Amazon thing. Like even you can just tell about he's just
No,
not he's just done with it. He was like, I'm over this. Like I don't want to buy into it. And
well, I mean, All or Nothing was crucial for me in terms of Arteta because there was times last season where I was like, dude, what the
yeah,
fuck is he
I
doing?
know.
Dude?
It
Like,
makes you
come
it
on.
made you like him, right? And
Yeah, for
like,
sure. Because
yeah,
sometimes I was wondering, like, what is he saying at halftime? You know,
yeah.
like
What's he talking
the way they're
about?
playing right now, is he okay with that or something? Because he wasn't really making drastic changes in the lineup. So you're kind of thinking, like, is he thinking everything's okay? And when they didn't buy anyone in January, you're like, do they think everything's okay? Because there was that feeling for the past 10 years or so or longer where you felt that the fans were like, dude, this is terrible, man. We could have done so much better.
I
But
know.
when you talk to Wenger or you talk to the board or even players on the team, they have this feeling like, it was excellent, man. It's great playing for Arsenal. I love it. I'm having the time of my life. And you're like, whoa, you have the wrong attitude, man, because we just lost to Leicester. Like Leicester won the league and we didn't win the league. Like,
I think it's an interesting no, and like I totally agree with you. Like that it was hard. I mean, we both had talked about it, right? What the fuck are they doing? Like, but like it is interesting to like see actually how he is as a person and how he goes about it. And you're like, I believe in them. I believe that if we keep him as a manager and this kind of growth, people should be worried about us for the next 5 years. Like we're gonna be a dominant force. Saka's agreed a new deal verbally as of today. Like he's gonna sign it. That like, dude, if we lock down Martinelli, I mean they're doing all the right
yeah.
stuff now. I
And you
mean they're
feel
gonna
like the
they're
players,
gonna buy a forward in the summer probably and just add to it. They got Balogun coming back. Balogun's the top goal scorer in in League.
you've been watching his highlights too.
Dude, he's so good. He is.
Scoring-
We knew he was good though. Dude, that one finish was so not, like
He's scoring the right
not.
kind of. He's not getting tap ins and lucky goals.
No,
He's
he's like
the type of goal, and he's getting goals
Yeah.
like where you can play him through. He drops the shoulder and finds the corner. Like,
I mean, and now you got like what your boy Saliba that was unhappy is like today talking about like I want to win everything with Arsenal. You know he's gonna sign a new deal.
he's only 21, right?
He's a dude. That dude
Oh
is.
my goodness, dude.
dude,
To me, and because he's
did you see what he did to Holland in the Man City game? Dude, he just bossed Holland around in the one and like I mean I know we got beat kind of bad by them, not bad, but like it just didn't turn up.
wasn't
It
a
just
good.
didn't turn up. Just
Really?
didn't turn up.
Yeah.
Partey not in that game hurt. Even though Jorginho played really well against Villa the other day, I'd say that he was a game changer for sure.
Yeah, and you got that one off the dome. And
Emmy,
dude, he was
I
just
used to like Emmy Martinez, but like
like him when he played for us.
he's such a twat.
I didn't realize he was such a douchebag. You know what
I
I
know
mean?
he's such a dude. What he did at the World Cup with the glove is just like
Well done, man. Way to
I know
show
you
your
just
class. Like,
you just won the Golden Glove award in the World Cup as like you were a nobody like 2 years ago, and like
story. It's so disappointing because
it is.
story of like
He
a
could be
dude
so
on
cool.
loan for 10 years, could have given up, could have easily, you know, like,
Yeah,
and now he has a legendary career. He won an FA Cup and the World Cup.
I
Like,
know. It's like, and he's an idiot. He's
on
just an
top of that,
idiot.
he's just a douchebag. Like,
but
way to go, man. You know?
that was kind of amazing that he got that went in off him the other day. I was so happy, and then yeah, I mean, But that's the kind of performance I think that they've put together. You know, Rachel, I remember at Arsenal Liverpool, and that game was like pivotal. That was a
That's where
pivotal.
it started, really. That's
That
where
is. It was,
been at the
dude.
top of the table before, but it was so early that it kind of like didn't
And
matter.
what
But then when we beat
they
Liverpool, it
level.
was like, okay.
I know. And they like leveled with us. It was 2-2 at one point, right? And like then like but you could feel that it never even there, you could feel that they always knew that they could just win that game and that they were like going to. Like you
And
can tell the fans feel that way, which is like a real nice positive change for Arsenal. I think I I was always disappointed to hear that like our stadium environment was not great, like from afar. You're like, because people would say like the Emirates wasn't great since we transferred there. The Highbury was supposed to be amazing, but Emirates wasn't great.
yeah,
Out of all the stadiums that I went to, I mean, by far the classiest and nicest experience is at Arsenal. Like, like I was at club level at Tottenham too, and it's dude, Arsenal's way better. Like with the way the club is even structured, it seems that they've kind of figured it out a little bit.
it seems so, and I hope so. I'm not
Still don't
fully
like the Cronkies. Still don't like the Cronkies, and I wish that that wasn't them. But I think we're kind of stuck with them in the meantime. And I'd say I'm not necessarily mad about that. If you look at all these buyouts that are kind of like starting to take shape with like United and Liverpool and like and just like Everton and like I'm kind of glad that we're not involved in those right now, like or any of that stuff. Like maybe we'll just be a stable thing. Man City's in trouble. They're going to be in some serious like what they have 110 charges. At
I don't
least some of
see,
those are going to stick.
yeah, I don't see them entering the season next year perfectly unscathed.
No, this year
Well, I was
I don't
gonna
want.
say,
I don't want to deduct it this year though. I want to beat them fair and square this year.
yeah, totally. They should start next season either in the championship or like -30.
Yep, agreed. Like Juventus did. Juventus had to start -30 that one year.
Yeah, and then they still won the league. No, I'm just
Didn't they? They did pretty well though, huh?
I can't remember honestly,
They
but
they didn't get relegated. That's for sure. They like
yeah,
they climbed out of it.
yeah.
I don't know. So what's your biggest takeaway on like what we could do better and like uh, moving forward as a club? Like where do you see that we could strengthen and
Well, one thing watching the All or Nothing was eye-opening about Arteta. Seeing like I was always team Aubameyang, Lacazette, and Pepe. Those, I mean, to me, it was like those were the only players that for the past few seasons, or definitely last season, felt like they can get on and do something that will make me happy. You know what I
for
mean?
sure?
The
For
other
sure.
players, yeah, definitely Saka. You know, there was bright spots. Emil Smith Rowe, a lot of the players that the other players besides those three that were doing well never got consistent playing time. And then you have the whole Xhaka thing, and it was just like it was getting to be too much. You know what I mean? But
Oh
seeing
yeah.
the All or Nothing, looking at like when he's doing the Edison bulb and stuff like that, and Aubameyang is just like, and Lacazette too, he'd have that look of like, man, who the fuck is this motherfucker? You know, like these guys are some dorks, dude. Like they were not feeling it. You know what I mean?
Oh
And
yeah, they were done with the
player,
like
it's like,
yeah.
and Arteta needs you to be on his, needs you to get in, like on board, and
Yep.
I'm okay with that. And his
Yep.
positive attitude, the way he approaches the game, is for the most part is fine, and it's also working because we're top of the table. We can't forget that or act like that's not a big deal. Like,
I mean, if you some of the tactic breakdowns that I've even just I stumble across them on Twitter sometimes. I mean, he tactically we're fucking dope. Like they come up with some interesting shit. Like I like they're going routes that normally you would shy away from or just like the obvious quick choice, the one touch football. And
well, you know
it's
what? You know what bothers me about that a little bit though is when it doesn't work. Like
yeah,
sometimes it seems like the team is playing this American football route. They're running that route and it just didn't kind of work out. And they're just kind of like, oh, the ball didn't come to me. Okay. And you're like, well, just get get the ball and pass it to the guy who's right there and make a move. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they seem like they're running, or like a player will get the ball and be like, I know I'm supposed to go here and then left and then straight. And then like the guy's just like watches him run that route, the
And then
defender,
it's done. And then
steps
no,
in
no, what to
front of him,
do.
and he's like, they like run into each other. He's like, hey, you're running where I'm supposed to run right now. They're a little bit too mechanical and a
Too
little
rigid. Yeah.
yeah, not, and for me, the passing could still improve mightily.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Sometimes the touch of players, even like Odegaard and some of our best technical players, sometimes you're like, dude, just pass and trap the ball, stick it to your foot. Like,
Yep.
what is these loose fucking balls everywhere? But I think that can improve. I hope it improves, like
I think, and maybe it's a byproduct of like, I wish that we could watch an all or nothing of this year. Like this is like, it was really eye opening to see last year. And I think I agree. Like I like him so much more. I trust what he's doing. I think I think positivity wise, it's great. It's nice that we have a manager like that. Then to hear Pep like speak highly about him. But I think maybe they're ironing out details still. I think it's still so fluid of a system, and they're like, what works? So maybe because sometimes it just seems that they're rushing it, and it's like it's either rushed and then the touch gets worse, and sometimes the pass doesn't come through. It's such a fast opening sometimes, like from back to front. I mean, it makes sense why we play out of the back now. Remember when we were like with Leno sometimes, and even Ramsdale, they would get caught out sometimes, and you're like, "What are you fucking doing?" But like, if it's on, it's on. It opens up the entire field. So
True.
like, I get it, and then all of a sudden you got like 3-on-1 or 3-on-2, and it's just an easy goal. And we've done it a number of times now. I mean,
no, for sure.
they figure it out like how to get out of there, out of that space quickly. And I mean, dude, what was Man City thinking letting Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus go?
I mean, City is just, they're doing City things, being really good, but also really boring, really annoying. I mean, Foden, I haven't seen Foden play for Man City
Yeah.
all season. And I'm like, to me, he was like the best player in the league. I put him in top 3, like so underrated. Every time he came on, he would score. It's like, you want to get rid of him too? Bernardo Silva just started playing, but like hardly ever. It's like Joao Cancelo, who is for me, the best defender of last season. He doesn't play, like he's all of a sudden not good. And then he goes to Bayern Munich and just balls. And it's like, I don't know, I think Pep has gone so far and achieved so much that he's kind of like one of those celebrities who like doesn't realize that the real world is still exists. You know what I mean? And he's just thinking like, well, okay, what if I do this? And what if I do that? And you're like, dude, that doesn't make any.
And you got to think, yeah, I mean, you have a bunch of superstars at that team now, right? Like those dudes, like the type of ego going on there. Even De Bruyne, like I loved Kevin De Bruyne, but you know that they all got big egos. They're big players at this point. Arsenal, there's still a little bit of like just not that yet. We're a bunch of kids that haven't won anything. Like they like
It's almost like
really
you need a little bit more ego, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And
But they're getting some of it. Like I think like people like Jorginho coming into the team, that's a good one. That's a good kind of addition. I mean, he's not going to play all the time. He doesn't need to play all the time, but he's going to add what he needs to. It's crazy that Granit Xhaka is like not terrible this year. I still don't want him in the team. He's had a bad few games recently where he's back to his bullshit a little bit, like on his kind of giving the ball away. But
you asked me what we could do to improve. Definitely, like in terms of players and stuff like that, we need a better midfielder because, and honestly, Xhaka, for the first half of the season, he just flat out played well. He got like 3 goals and 4 assists, something like that, which is
he's dropped off
like
again.
3 seasons in a row for him in the first half. Okay, I'm not going to say you shouldn't play him because the dude was getting results. You know what I mean? And everyone's like, oh, he plays this more advanced role. And it's like, so he's a holding midfielder in an advanced role. That's a new one on me. I've never heard of that before. You know what
I
I mean?
know. It's like, why don't we just get another attacking midfielder in there then?
Well, like, yeah, I know. Cause it's like, well,
Because he probably could have gotten more goals then.
yeah. Well, I mean, as a holding midfielder in an advanced role, that just means you're not you're not relied on to defend. You're not
Yeah.
relied on to attack.
You're just there.
You're relied on to just kind of stand there. And if the ball comes to you, maybe you kick it in the goal or maybe you pass it for a goal, which he was able to do in the first half of the season. Fine. But what if you had another player there who could be more active in the game and actually like pass more or
Yeah.
score more, which I think you totally can. Like, to me, I've always
I
thought
still think Emil Smith Rowe, just throw that
exactly.
dude. That's put him in
Throw
that
that-
role. I know. I don't know why we just don't play him there. I like I've been playing FIFA, of course, as I always do, and I have used Xhaka in that role because like, why would I change the starting lineup from what they're doing in real life in some regard? But lately, I've been like, I'm just over Xhaka again, so I've been putting ESR there because I think it's better, and he's
well,
Xhaka is like the weakest link still. I think, but then I saw it now they're talking about signing him on a new deal again. It's like, dude.
he's already on a 5-year deal. Are you going to sign him for a 20-year deal or something?
Why we're just gonna let this dude retire there? Just like
And they re-signed El Neni, which I do not dislike El Neni, but
I
like
know it's just like
they
what
are
are
really being like, no, El Neni is our guy, dude. He is our guy. And I'm like,
you can see in the
like
all or
it.
nothing. You can see in the all or nothing. I think that's maybe they just want to keep a few of those dudes around. I think Rob Holding is there to stay in general.
Oh, God.
I'm not. I guess I'm not mad at that, but like it's just we could do better. Like we like you're improving in all these other spaces, and you're giving these jerseys away to like some dudes that are just kind of like. I mean, really, I think Rob Holding is fine just filling in every now and again.
I think
I don't think he would ever leave Arsenal if he doesn't need to.
well, we got Kivior, who seems to be a beast, and I think he comes in now instead of Rob Holding. When Rob Holding is in,
For sure. No,
things
Rob
don't-
Holding's just
we don't
no
play
Rob.
well. You know what I mean?
Of course, Rob Holding is just when they have 10 minutes to go and they take a attacker off and they put him in front of the four. I don't think he's ever going to have any like the same thing they're doing with El Neni now. Like he came on the one day for 1 minute and he just like gets out there and just like
Yeah. I mean, solid third string player.
yeah, that's all it's just a squad player at best.
Yeah.
Maybe Xhaka will end up being just a squad player because he can't stay in that role like permanently. I mean, if they're trying to improve across the field, they know that he's not the best option.
Did you see him get nutmeg with that
Yeah,
goal? Aston Villa?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Dude, that's prime. And then afterwards, he was like, oh. And everyone talks about him being a leader and having a great attitude all the time. Dude,
He's always putting his head down.
Like, oh, it's like, what are you complaining about, dude? You got nutmegged on a dummy to give up a goal.
Yeah.
Like, tell me there's not some player out there. Like, I really wanted Milinkovic-Savic because I think we need a bruiser who's also silky. I mean, like Declan Rice. We get Declan Rice.
They've talked. They said that was like the top target in the summer. Is Declan Rice. Declan Rice would be amazing in that role.
I like it.
Yeah,
because I think
he even
our team with strength.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're strengthening in general. It feels like. I mean, they're trying to buy the right players. When Gabriel Jesus is back, I mean, him and Nketiah rotated in that role. Like, it's perfect. I mean, for now. Like then Balogun, dude, we need to keep him on the team. He looks sick.
You think we keep him and don't sell him for a high price?
I don't know. It's like it's one of those ones. Like, how good is he going to get? And then you're going to be like, all right. Then you're like 3 years down the road, or you're going to be like, fuck, why did we sell that dude?
Yeah, and it's also like, does he come in and take Nketiah's spot? And like Nketiah has been frustrating too because, and I love Nketiah, and also he was one of those players. He scored 10 goals in all comps in 2020. So at that time, I was like, I need him. I know he can be better. Like I need him to step up. And then he basically took like last season, he scored a few goals, but yeah.
At the
And
end,
even
like where
now,
when he was needed at the end a little bit, like against
yeah, but it was
Chelsea and
almost too
United. Yeah.
late and never in the right time. Now he's stepped up a level from that, but then he has moments where it's like he
What are you
doesn't have
doing out there?
control of the ball or like
Yeah.
easy
Or he
pass.
doesn't even get.
Or,
He's not on. It's an interesting one compared to Jesus because Jesus will like drop deep and like create from his own. Like he's gonna find the ball and he's gonna run with the ball and then he's gonna distribute and
he
it
has
is.
control of the ball.
Yep, and he's pressing really hard. And Kedia is kind of like an opportunistic striker where he might not touch the ball very much, and he might just get one little tap and it's in. And like
Which is
again, like
fun.
against United, which
Which
is
is
which
fun.
is almost good as a sub a lot of the time though.
Yeah.
Which is like
Poacher,
it.
a
Yeah,
poacher bad to have on your team, but also he misses those tap ins too much. You know what
he
I mean?
does, or blows it over. He should have scored a header the other day. That was like against City. That was like just a clear, open, like
I want him to jump up and know what he's doing when he's in the air
yes,
and just
and to
hit
be
it down in the goal. And then he looks at the world and is like, I'm fucking Eddie and Kedia, dude.
it's
That's what
interesting
we
because
need.
I mean, and he has the swagger sometimes. Like the goal against Oxford United. I know it's Oxford United, but the tap in that he like Ian Wright was talking about, I thought the same thing at the time. Like his just confidence when you know that you can just put the ball in the goal and you're like you just do differently. And he needs to have that in every game though. He
Yeah.
does.
I
Like
mean,
he needs it against Man City. Like and he needs to show that kind of like desire in that kind of game.
he needs to step up like Saka. Like
Yeah.
of the Hill End boys, right now, the only one that it truly came through is Saka.
Yep.
And we need Nketiah and ESR. If could you imagine if those two rose to Saka's level? That alone
Oh,
would make us maybe a title winning team, dangerous, and then all the other things. It just would our potential would just skyrocket with those players.
I hope it happens, especially like ESR is like so quality. I mean, it'd be he needs to stay fit. I think the injury that he had was like pretty. He's been nursing it for like 3 years,
What
and then
was it?
finally something in his groin and in this like hip flexor area that like is just it was like traveling down his thigh from what I read, and so that stuff like sometimes just it, it'll fuck you up for a while. And so hopefully that they've taken their time with him. So he's been on the bench a few times lately. They he's going to be in the fold when he's fit because he's so dangerous with the ball. He scored so many goals last year. I mean, it'd be hard to keep him out of the team.
Yeah, he
But
was.
but I mean, you look at players like Fabio Vieira's sick.
I know. Like seeing what
He
he can.
is he's good. He's really good.
Yeah,
The
I.
pass to Martinelli was so clean the other day. I mean,
It looked like an easy goal because Martinez was out, but like
it's
that,
not. That's a
like
hard.
that
No,
pass had to be perfect, and he did it, and he's done that before.
I know, and it looked like it was just at routine for him. They're like best friends at the club. I saw something about them. Like they've really got on Martinelli and Vieira. They
Both people.
seem. I think the team seems like a team and a family, and that's what they really needed. That's what he wanted. He wanted to build a unit that they all like care. You can see that they care. Like,
It's smart because he's got. I was looking at it the other day. There's a class of 21-year-olds. There's a class of like 22 and 23, and then
yep,
there's a class of like 24, 25.
yep.
And
And then there's a few like 31, like now like
yeah,
Jorginho. Those that's it. There's a few of them. Like, but that's good. There's a balance in there.
and like they're young enough to where you can convey to them a message that they will believe and understand and be able to take forward, you know?
Yep, yep.
And you see it with this group, and they're like, why would I want to go try to play for another team and just be one of the players who has to like fight and kill to
Yeah,
play when I actually trust the manager right now? So that's a good thing. I
yeah.
mean, he sacrificed to me, sacrificed like an entire season or two to get it that way, which was brutal
as
as
a
a
fan.
fan.
It was brutal. It was
He
like we
sacrificed
barely
a
had
bunch of
any
good
of the,
players.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that front line that we never played together. To me, I just couldn't resist playing the best players that I have in a formation
Yep.
that works. But he's clearly a different style, and I'm not even trying to argue against Arteta anymore because it's pointless. Like if a
Yeah.
player doesn't fit his system, he's not going to play him. So like I don't want to get players that he doesn't
And-
want or that like he'll pick them and we'll
Yep.
just see what happens. And I hope
'Cause
the
I
people
think-
that we have improve.
I think you're right, and I think it's not worth. But I think the good thing is like he's also one of those managers that we can trust and believe in. I think we're fortunate as fans right now to have like landed where we did. Like I think the latter Wenger years did not go well. We had a bunch of people that shouldn't have been there. I think they were talking about changing the culture when Arteta came in. I mean, our vibe is better. I experienced it. It was dope. I remember the difference of like what it was like when I went there the first year. I went to Arsenal Portsmouth in 2006 at the Emirates, and it was cool. Like but it was electric against Liverpool. Like I've never been to a sporting event where when Martinelli scored in the first minute, the place erupted. Like including us, like jumped out of our seats because you're like, it just did. It just like, it like felt that. I mean, it was buzzing in there. Like there's the fans are on board for sure. And they believe it.
And yeah, you can't underestimate how much better we actually are, like not
Yeah.
perfect. And we talk about improvements and whatnot, but just thank God, and the players that
Seriously.
Arteta has picked largely have turned out to be good signings. I trust Tommy Asu and Ben White.
Yep.
Saliba has been great. I mean, Odegaard. Odegaard
He's
can improve a lot too, and he's already
it's so. Did you see that in the one game that like double touch that he like played through as a through ball? Like it was like a flick. I don't even like understand like how fast his foot did it. It's like
you
it's some like Ronaldinho type shit like through. He's filthy. Zinchenko's an incredibly talented football player.
I mean, I like running the 3-2-4-1 with Partey and Zinchenko.
Have you seen Zinchenko how high and on the right? He's on the right side of the field the one day. I mean, against United, if you just like watch this highlight clip of just Zinchenko against United, I mean, you can see why he was man of the match. He single-handedly like moved in and out of their team. He almost plays like a free roll sometimes for us, which is awesome.
And yeah, I have always loved the left defender having that role, like a Marcelo or Andy Cole, or even when Saka was doing it back in the day. Like,
it's crazy that he played left back for a bit.
What's that?
It's crazy that he played left back for a bit.
He balled. He scored goals from left back, and that's because an attacking player playing left back, like, teams do not know how to set up against that. You know what I mean?
No,
Like if you have a player coming in from the back four who's creating like an attacking midfielder, who do you put on him to mark? You're going to use your outside midfielder, or your defender's already has their eye on someone, and here comes this dude who's a defender who's usually hanging back to the center backs, just passing and dribbling and shooting.
Yeah, I know it's really fun to watch. We have a big game. Leicester tomorrow is not going to be an easy game. But I feel like if we show up and play the way that we
can
do, everybody is in trouble, and not on those days.
We still have to play Man City again, don't we?
We do it end of April. It's like April 26th or something. Liverpool. We do.
We still have to play Chelsea.
Yep.
Which, as much as I goddamn hate Chelsea, I hate them. I hate them. I hate the whole thing. but
I know.
I'm not gonna. That's not a game I want to play. You know what I mean?
No, because they're losing so much otherwise. Like that could be a bogey loss for us because they'll turn up. I mean, it's
Well, I
so
mean,
annoying that they got that Mudrich guy. That dude like wanted to go to Arsenal.
you would
Like
have jump started. And that's the thing. I'm
why?
pissed off at the board
Yeah.
because it seems like you hear about all these bids and you never know quite how much money they're willing to pay or how much money they have in the bank, but they treat everything as like it's this only deal that they're going to do that season. And if that individual deal is too much, then they're like, no, but then they go and spend more on two other players that change the whole kind of.
You should watch there's a show on Peacock right now. It's only 4 episodes. It's called Deadline Day, and it's about the agents and about transfers. It's behind the scenes. It's really interesting. It's I always had an interest in it, and selling real estate like it's the same job. Like it's just people. At some point I might try to do it like over there because like seriously, like I like watching it. I was like I always like wanted to do it when I was younger. I was like that would be amazing. I love the sport. It's the same kind of role. I get where they run into problems though after watching it.
Yeah.
There's like they're not allowed to talk to players at all. Like the teams are not allowed to talk to a player, which like is kind of crazy. Like they have to talk to the agent. And so the agents can just kind of dick around and they can like those dudes are trying to make money, right? They're making money off of it's 6 to 10% of the player's wage is how much the agents are making. So if you're solo as an agent, like that Kia guy, where he doesn't have to pay like an agency, that dude's making a ton of money. So like when the teams come calling, that person can kind of just do some things, which is it. So you can see where like the Mudrich stuff, like they were maybe that person was maybe double ended some part of it, like because like that it was like a weird deal. Like it was like 20 million's going back to Shakhtar or to some charity for. I mean, it was like
Who's going to follow up to make sure that 20 million where it went and
right.
Yeah, that 20 million is probably sitting in some person's bank account.
I mean, and then I watched something yesterday on Real Sports with Brian Gumbel did a recent episode on FIFA, of course, and like why all these companies are based in Switzerland and they're just cutting breaks. So like for that, what you're talking about right there, like they probably go through some shell company there that's like it's just like I think Arsenal's trying to do business in the right manner, which that's how it seems. They're trying to live within their means. And I'm more okay with that than what Man City and Chelsea are doing. Like Chelsea, 600 million in 1 year,
17 players,
and they're 10th. Of course, you can't have a whole new team. I mean, Aubameyang is not even going to play for Chelsea anymore. Like he's out for sure.
No, he's just like chilling in London collecting a paycheck because they bought 4 strikers in January and paid like $200 million.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could be a fan of Chelsea. You know, if we had a whole new starting 11 next year, I'd be like, I don't know any of these guys. Like,
yeah,
like okay.
And how are you ever supposed to like stay liking one of the players or not? Like they're just chained. They just don't even know who's playing in the team in general. Like Mudrich, I mean, it sucks that we didn't get him. I think it also sucks for him. He's going to stifle himself as a player fully.
He's done anything since he went to Chelsea.
Yeah. No, and why would you go there? Like as a player trying to develop as like a 21-year-old, you should see how many people wash out of the teams. If we're watching as fans, aren't they watching as players? Like they must know what's going on in other leagues.
Yeah. I mean, I think he said he wanted to go to Arsenal, but the club was like, here's your price. Chelsea said, we'll pay that price. He's also thinking, I need to get a little bit more west of, Russia, as west as possible with my family.
Yeah.
Like you were saying before, there's more things that go into it. And also they say we'll pay you a shit ton of money. It's like, it's not a terrible deal for him. You know what I mean?
No. And it might work out for us in the long run, because if he doesn't really do much there, I could see Arsenal trying to get him in like 2 years.
I know, that's what I'm kind of
I'm
like,
banking on that because
dude,
his videos of him are just filthy. Like he's a really talented football player. Like
and he fits that. He's the winger that Arteta wants. That
yep,
same style, like he kind of just hugs the flank and moves in, and that's kind of his zone.
yep,
You know, kind of like a Saka or Martinelli. Like, yeah, it was a real shame we didn't get him. But
I know it's a bummer. But he's I haven't even he hasn't even really played. They have a big game this weekend, Tottenham.
yeah,
And we better beat Everton too. Are you waking up to watch the game tomorrow?
what is it? A 4 a.m. one?
That's not 7. The
7?
easy one. Easy one.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, it's
4 a.m. is always
they've just been so fun to watch. It's
who's let's see. They said Partey's possible.
yep. And Jesus, no, he's out. He's out still. So a couple more weeks at least.
The funny thing is, still to this day, the only person who has a guaranteed starting spot is Xhaka, and he's going to play 90. And it's like, he's not even in the top 10 players at Arsenal. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
It's
Like, if you were to say who's the one player that has to play all of
but
the time,
now knowing Arteta, like he's like a people person, right? So he loves his players. You can tell that he like loves them. He's compassionate with them. I bet you he just has a very good relationship with Granit Xhaka. So he's probably like, I believe you to do, like
like I want you to, I'm rooting for you, like
yeah.
go out there and do something good. And it's like,
And he's kind of another captain, but it's just sometimes it's just like a ghost out there.
sometimes it's just like, it's not even that he does things bad, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, imagine if we had someone else. Like,
Yeah.
just
He's just
imagine, you know?
he's just so yeah, like he's just non-existent sometimes. It's like, what if we just had someone else doing more?
Yeah, just imagine what it could be like.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even anything
I mean,
against us. It's like,
no. And I mean, I think he's a good squad player. Like I mean, he's turned a tide for sure in his career there. And I mean, he went from us like hated him, still don't like him. He seems like a nice person. I don't dislike him as a person. He's
yeah,
like,
oh,
and yeah, and but we could just do better in that role. Like we could have a better player. Just like I think Jesus is the better starter than Nketiah. Like on the whole, I think what Jesus brings is aggressive. I think it's scary as him like running at people, and his like ball control is out of control. Like
the fact that we've managed to do as well as we have with Jesus injured is huge. It's
I
huge.
know it's impressive.
Like he hasn't played since the World Cup, and that seems like forever ago now.
I know. I mean, it's a while ago. It's almost 3 months ago now. So it's like it is
It's wild. That's crazy that was like this season, like
a lot's happened like this football year. I mean, it really has been. I'd say the most fun time to be an Arsenal fan this year that I've experienced. I mean, since I can remember, like when we were in the Champions League final. But like that was, they after that, like it's kind of been on the decline since then.
I mean, after the Invincible season, when there was a sense of like, we're just going to casually give away our best players.
Yeah, it's been on the decline.
Yeah, like even the next year, it's like we didn't strengthen it all. We just let a bunch of people leave on free transfers. And it was kind of the signal to the rest of the league of like, hey, you were close, you were, nipping at our heels last year, and we're just going to like stop and let you go forward,
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's like they really did.
We're on the ascendancy, which is great. It hasn't happened.
I mean, people are rooting for us. Like I had lunch with a friend today that's a United fan. He was like, I'm rooting for Arsenal to win. Everyone wants us to beat City this year. We're the only real candidate that can do it.
If City somehow won it, like you can tell that no one's enjoying their football over there. They're not good. They're not the team they were before. They've lost
Not
a
in,
games. They tie a bunch of games. Like they're not this unstoppable force with like tactic unbreakable tactics and superstars everywhere. They're kind of in this real weird kind of jumbo place. Like they cannot win the league this year. They cannot. It would be a travesty.
We need to get something from the game when we play that. A point, a win. We cannot lose that game at home. Like,
No way.
well, no, we lost at home. It's at the Etihad. That's fine though, because that place is easy to go to. I sat there as a fan. It's super quiet. It's like those people aren't making any noise. Like,
Yeah, even that. I mean, it's a working
it's a
class.
nice state. It's a nice stadium though. Like, I know nothing about the stadium.
I mean, everything, the way they run things is very professional. It's clean. It's nice. It's top
Yeah.
quality. The media team is great. Their branding is great. The stadium is great. And it's all, it's just all paid for. It's like someone who's like super successful because their parents like bankrolled every single aspect of their life and gave them
Yeah.
the job. And it's like they're still good at what they do, but you don't have that feeling as if someone just like did it themselves,
No, and there's I guess maybe it's this too. Like I've been every time I go to London, I go to Arsenal. Like I don't think I've been to London and not gone up to the Emirates at least to go to the store or just go walk around the stadium, even if there's no game. And I've been to a few there now, and the area over time has changed a lot and for the better. The neighborhood of Islington, like well, this time I have to send you a photo. We walked into the Highbury into the grounds because the gate was open and you could go into the condo area, and it's amazing in there. I mean, it's an incredible space. Like they turned it into condos. There's a park in where the pitch was that you can like walk through the gardens, and yeah, it's really cool. The apartments look amazing, and like just the neighborhood has a really good vibe. There's a lot of good bars. Like we drank at a pub around the corner called the Highbury, and it's where Alan drinks all the time before games. And so we like met up there. It's just a fun vibe when you're walking up to the stadium. The environment was great, and I went to some good grounds. Like we went to Craven Cottage. That one was amazing. Such a cool vibe. That's another amazing ground. But like Arsenal really has done an amazing thing in their area, and you can tell that they've changed the neighborhood, and people are like finally like feeling like a part of the Emirates, like as like a living entity. It's really nice in there. They've renovated a little bit. They just put up new banners like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, their whole like art campaign and the way they've really stepped it up, you can't hate on it at all.
No.
I feel like that's a good sign when you see the neighborhood around flourishing, because
Yep.
it kind of, when people come in and they cut costs to the bone and suck the money out, there's that vibe, where everything's run down. They don't pay a single cent for anything. Like honestly, when I went to the World Cup in Brazil, FIFA did not spend a cent on the World Cup. There
Oh yeah,
was
no, they
one
raped them.
retail stand selling like merch that no one wanted, and that was it. They had like one place on Copacabana with like a big screen and like a line of porta potties.
That's such a shame that they do
Like,
that
that
because they
was-
make so much money.
Yeah, well, you can tell when they're trying to steal all the money. There's just that vibe around anything where the owners are doing that. So to
Yeah,
see that the whole place is flourishing and businesses and parks and everything are coming up, that's important.
definitely. I think it's I mean, I'm gonna say it like I went to Tottenham and sat in the club level, and it wasn't a great experience. Like people, not just because it was Tottenham, but it was like it felt like an airport, kind of like a terminal. And you with the hospitality stuff there for the Champions League game that we went to, you get free food in there, which was nice. Like you get to go up to this thing, you can go up there as much as you want and get and eat. It's like a buffet style. But they let too many people go into this small club zone. Like it's not very big in there, and people are sitting on. We had to sit on the floor at one point because like there's not. So you're in the club level, but like they just it's just like dingy kind of. And like inside you can tell that they spent money inside the stadium for like the NFL, but like the fan experience too is like not ideal. Where Arsenal on the club level, it's just amazing on both long ends of the pitch. On each end, they're big bar slash there's like multiple bars, but then there's food places in there too. So there's just like a ton of seating on each end. So like if you paid to be in the club level, you're like in a really nice stuff. So it's just it's interesting because they did the same thing with the neighborhood. You can tell that they've like really helped the neighborhood. Like it's just all different over there from even a few years ago when I was there. It's nice to see.
It's good to see because for a while there, it seemed like the Cronkies really were just wait a second.
Hi, Claire.
Say hi to Sean
Hi, Sean.
Nice to see you again.
from the wedding.
No. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, you were probably.
You remember now.
Morning. Give me a second, okay?
We'll come back and chat in just a second, Claire.
Ask my dad something.
We can wrap it up too, so she can come back and say hi. But I think it's only positive signs ahead for Arsenal at the moment.
Given how much room there is for improvement and still we're top, like I'm not getting too excited about top of the league because I just don't.
Anything can change.
Yeah, and also I really came to the conclusion that this season is not about us being the best version of ourselves possible in
No.
terms of skill and technique and tactics and stuff. It's purely about belief. And if we
Totally.
can somehow get it over the line and win the title, watch out because
I know, because it'll be dangerous. Yeah.
and that's what I'm hoping for, but I'm just like I'm waiting to see and I'm not expecting anything, but
I think that's a good mentality about it.
yeah, I mean, it's really just about the players believing and realizing that like, oh, it doesn't just happen, like you have to like when we beat Manchester United, that to me was like, yes, they understand. They know
Yes.
that no, this team is gonna keep pushing at you and you gotta push them back.
Yeah. Yeah.
It did. It was like that was like, yes.
You
You
could
know?
tell that place was rocking that day.
Oh, I was oh my
I was
God.
well, I mean, it's got everybody like engaged. It's got people like paying attention and thinking we're doing something cool. So agreed. I mean, we can't have expectations. We certainly better finish in the top four though. Like, I mean, if we don't win the league, that's one thing. I mean, they're still young. I'm sure next year we just have a decent enough chance again. But if they win the league this year, you're right. Like people should be worried about us. They should already be worried about us, and it's only going to get scarier as these kids get better.
Yeah, totally. But fingers crossed. Hopefully tomorrow starts another run because we need another run.
They do.
The period that we've had this past few games, it's not been great. You knew it was going to happen, and
Yep.
luckily, other teams have slipped up, and other teams are kind of irrelevant at the moment. So we got to push through, and if we catch another wave, we could do it. We could do it. We can definitely do it.
Definitely. I mean, we have 14 games left, 15 games. I mean, it's not that far away.
Oh, that's a lot of
Win eight of them though, and we're kind of close.
yeah. Oy. It's possible though. It's totally possible. We have to.
I know, and it's hard not to think about it too, because you're like, we're top of the league. Like,
We don't have to play Brentford. Do we have to play Brighton one more time?
No, I think we played them.
Seems like we played them a lot this season. We
I
have
think we played them recently. Oh no, it was in the Carabao Cup. We do have to play them again.
to play Brighton again.
Yeah, we have Leicester, Everton, Bournemouth, Sporting twice, Fulham, Palace, Leeds. Liverpool, West Ham, Southampton, City, Chelsea, Newcastle, Brighton.
That's a
That's a brutal
I feel
run.
like that's gonna decide the league right there. Those 4 games.
Luckily, Man City comes first. If we win the Man City game and Chelsea's after that, that's where that's where it could change. And then
Annihilate Newcastle because they were playing like that's one thing though. Like teams are even people were saying it against Man City. Like teams are coming and they're like, we got to get them off their game. We got to foul them a lot and we got to waste time. And we got like they're approaching us like, oh shit, we got to do something to disrupt them because if they're going at full speed, they will destroy us. And that's a good sign.
I mean, I'm just gonna say I play FIFA a lot online. I notice a massive difference from this team this year than the last year's version when I'm playing against teams like PSG and Man City. Arsenal is fast, and if you play in the right manner, the break is on. Like you can just see where it opens up for us. That like I try to just play like us. I play out of the back. I keep the ball. I switch fields. Like you can see where. I mean, I don't know if Arteta's just played FIFA a ton and watched tactics because it certainly is like doable on there to be like, yeah, this fucking works. Like you can see where they're only gonna get better.
For sure.
We're not on decline. I think when we first started this like a couple of years ago, remember it was like we just didn't know that this was going on. We didn't know that he was like kind of this little magician man that like knows. I mean,
Stuff.
The way I just watched all these interviews with Pep Guardiola about it. It sounds like Pep thinks Arteta knows more about football than him. Like there's the one and watch the Jamie Carragher interview with Arteta. It's like a 25-minute interview with Sky sitting down. Have you seen it?
Remember, I don't know if I watched the full thing, but I remember that.
He was saying like he used to call him when they was playing English opposition when Arteta was just a player and would just be like, hey, what about this team? What about this? I know like tactics. Like what do we got to do? So even as like a player, he was like into the coach part of it. That's
I really do like Arteta. I just like he's kind of the ultimate kind of player who played to like maybe even overachieved, but just
certainly
wasn't physically capable of being like a superstar because it's just like you have your physical limits. But he really, like you could tell he was smart. Coaches loved him, worked hard, and scored some sick goal. He had that rip from like
against City.
I mean, that was just in his locker is to have a rip from 30 yards out.
Yeah.
So I remember liking him for Everton and the fact that he can come and be this force of positivity in the game, like he's not a Mourinho ruthless guy. He's not a Sir Alex Ferguson kind of like ruthless mentality of like, like everyone's scared of him and stuff like that. Or like he's not a coach. It's like, if I don't get the 4 players that I asked for, then you can't complain if we don't win the title type person. Just true doing it the old fashioned way of like, I'm going to build a good team with good spirit and we're going to have the full package. And I love it.
Yeah. I know it's cool. It's good. I agree. And I think it's interesting to hear other people pick up on that too. Cause it's true. Like he's not just picking like a superstar team and just like, we're going to spend all this money and he's trying to make sure that their brains are in the right spot too. Like it's like, hey, I think you're a great player. I want you to think about this in the right way. I want you to be like developing in the right way. I want you to be a good person on and off the field. And that stuff like matters for like the image of the club and for yourself. And you can tell he's trying to teach some young men like how to be like good people too. And we're a classy team, which is like cool. We picked this when we were little kids, right? Like my first Arsenal jersey, I was like in 96, the JVC one. I didn't even know what I picked. I just picked this team.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I picked who we picked to follow, even though it is a brutal enterprise sometimes.
But there is something special that I've realized because so many different kind of teams have come since I've been watching and different managers, and there's still that spirit that is pure Arsenal that's separate from anything else that really who comes and goes or even results
Yeah.
and that certain Arsenal thing. I was even like looking up the history of Arsenal a while back, and like the only decade we've gone without winning a title is pretty much the teens. Like every like through from 1931 when we first won with Herbert Chapman, like we've either gone on little runs where we win like a lot of that decade, but even like off decades, there's still like one or two, you know?
Yeah.
And like that's a special, there's something special where it's like we attract quality just as a club. And there's that Arsenal identity and having it being multicultural and having that African and Jamaican influence and the diversity of the fans and the players being always these cool personalities. Like Arsenal's the best football club for sure.
No, definitely. And we really have like a cool history. It's just when you're there too, it feels great. Like we have to go sometime. Like we were talking about like need to do a guy's soccer trip there, go to some matches. I mean, even just like we went to the Europa League game against FC Bodo Glimt, and that was just like awesome. And now there's easier ways to get the tickets. You just have to be on top of it. And there's we just paid for the hospitality ones that allow you to buy like sometimes they're more expensive, sometimes they're not. I went to Palace for $125 per ticket. That's not a lot when you go to a sports game, right?
Not anymore.
We sat in the executive box, one of them. You had free dinner and free drinks the entire time. And then we're on behind. Yeah, you were in the best seats in Selhurst Park. And it was like that was, I mean, even Arsenal wasn't bad. Like the 300 for the box at Bodo Glimt. That was like, I mean, sometimes the crack in here is like really expensive hockey wise. Like 300 is like not a great ticket sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, the Real Madrid Barcelona match at Allegiant was 600.
Crazy. I mean, that's what we paid for Arsenal Liverpool. I mean, I'd pay a lot. I'd pay a lot more to be at that one again. Like that was just a vibe.
I mean, sometimes you just are like, am I going to see Classico at Vegas ever again? No. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're never going to think about it. You're going to be like, oh, that was good money spent that day. Like,
yeah.
No, we got fortunate. I know it's tough to support them sometimes, but
this year's been better. This year I can handle.
And our merch is sick now.
Merch is clean. And did we already
sign 2030? It's
already signed?
I'm pretty sure. I think it's done.
I mean, it seems like we sold out of the black kit. So Adidas is like, yeah, we like this setup.
Oh yeah.
And keep the crazy colors coming. We haven't played barely at all in the pinks.
I know. I think
I want more crazy colors.
It's because the black is just fierce, kind of. I think a black has got to be our new kind of away kit. It's just so good.
You have the black socks?
I have the black socks and shorts. I wear them often because and I have all dark cleats in both. So if I wear it's like all murdered out.
Yeah, the black is awesome.
It's clean. It's so clean.
For sure.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, we'll have to do this again soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Come on, Arsenal.
We'll see you next time.
Adios.